Hey, and welcome to another review today. Now, we are going to get into the holiday spirit, though I do know that it is after Christmas. I kind of was waiting for this one just because I wanted to make sure that everyone was able to see all the episodes. So let's get jolly. Let's talk about the Santa Clauses.
Hello there, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and children.
Hello, and welcome to another holiday special here as we go ahead and review the Santa Clauses. Now, this is, of course, kind of the fourth installment to the Santa Claus franchise. It is a Disney Plus exclusive, limited run series. At least that's what we were led to believe, as we were also led to believe that this was supposed to be the end of Scott Calvin as Santa Claus, that he was retiring. Now, this series is, of course, about that, but also not about that. In the very beginning of the series, we are informed that, of course, Scott Calvin is turning about 65, that retirement age, and he doesn't believe that he could be, of course, Santa Claus for that much longer. Now, he starts to look for his predecessor, and during this time period, he does lose a little bit of the Santa Claus magic, kind of similar to what we see in Santa Claus 2. Then, when he finds the individual, which of course is played by Cal Penn, he starts to not run Christmas like how Christmas is supposed to be. It's kind of similar to how we have in Santa Claus 3. Now, if you're kind of picking up a little bit of what I'm getting at, pretty sure you're right. There are a lot of elements that is taken from the second and third movie that doesn't really tell a whole new story other than the fact that, Scott is looking for a replacement and we're looking to retire. And of course, my biggest gripe about the series is the fact that we only see Charlie in one episode and for like 15 minutes, and he doesn't even want to be Santa Claus. Unlike what we know him in the first three films of him wanting and loving Christmas altogether, he doesn't seem like he wants to take the mantle. He is married with kids living down in Florida, and he hasn't told his wife, understandably, about his father, but yet he doesn't seem to care about anything related to, what his father and the legacy of it. Now, don't get me wrong, he does love the overall aspect of his dad being Santa and the holiday itself, but he just loses. It's completely opposite of what we know of the character, basically, is what I'm getting at. When it comes to the character development, we do have a little bit more character development of Mrs. Claus, of course, Carol, in the series, which is great because it goes within the history of, Mrs. Claus. You do know the history and you learn about the history a little bit with the previous Santa Clauses too, because they tell a little bit of the story of Saint Nicholas himself. And I'm not talking about what we know as kids, but the actual Saint Nicholas a little bit. So that's wonderful. That's new and refreshing to the series. Now, by the end of this, though, we do learn that, of course, Tim Allen is still Santa Claus, and he's kind of teaming up with his family, which is cool, and I get and I do respect that for. But at the same time, is then what's the point of him retiring? Why say that he's going to retire when he doesn't end up retiring anyways? And we also know that the series is going to get season 2. Now, don't let any of the negativity distract you from watching the series. I absolutely still have fun with it. It's definitely a retelling of some of the old stories that we know from the second and third, but also giving us a whole new story in the long scheme of things. Cal Penn does do a great job as far as the antagonist slash the person that you can kind of relate to, but not really. The kids who are playing, of course, Cal and Sandra, they do wonderful too. Like the chemistry is there. I just believe that the story was lacking just a little bit. And, again, we're led to believe that this is supposed to be the end of Scott Calvin being Santa Claus, when really it's not. It's more of a partnership with him and his family, which is great. But at the same time, though, it's not what we were led to believe. Same thing with Charlie. Again, just highly disappointed in the Charlie character all around. I really do hope that they do something about the second season to bring it a little bit more full circle and kind of a new story all on its own. I kind of wish that we explored the development of both his new son, or the son that he has with Mrs. Claus, Cal, as well as Charlie. Kind of wish that we saw the dynamic between those two and Charlie's half little sister too, but we don't see that. And that's the other thing too, is the fact that Cal, his younger son, gets a girlfriend, but the time spread of him getting a girlfriend and telling him his father is Santa within the story lasts about more than a year, but at the same time as we're shown in a shorter time frame, which I kind of wish that we had a little bit more exploration of that. So then that way it leads more character development, because on one hand, she's just a friend, and by the second or third episode that we see her, it's his girlfriend. Like, where is the development process within the actual character? So I feel like some of the stuff was a little sped up too, which was disappointing. But again, overall, it does bring the holiday spirit. It does bring the holiday fun. There were a few, issues I had with it, but overall did enjoy it. Is it one that I will go to? No. As far as first 1 through 4, I will absolutely go to the first one and then the second one, and then maybe this one over the third one. I'm not sure, but overall it was okay. It was good to see Bernard back as well, but again, he's only here for one episode too, which is kind of disappointing. But overall, it was okay. If you're looking for something for that to fill that Santa Claus hole in you, and of course, I'm a huge fan of Tim Allen. I like his stand-up. I like many of his movies that he's done. He does wonderful as Santa in this, as he has been throughout the whole entire series. And I do look forward to seeing him playing Santa Claus again in the future. But overall, I just hope that they work with the story a little bit more, give us a little bit more of a refreshing story, but also cohesive too, in terms of, the progression. Maybe stretch, instead of 6 episodes, maybe stretch this out a little bit more. So then that way we get to, of course, get more of a storyline or more of a character development than what we got in this one. But that was my opinion. What did you guys think? Did you guys actually like it? Did you not like it? And do you guys completely disagree with me? I mean, you can if you want. That's completely okay, because I like to hear you guys' opinions. So be sure to hit subscribe button down below. Make sure to follow us on all social platforms. And of course, I'll see you next time when we go ahead and review Glass Onion.